All right, we're in. This is first. This is the first
it's
episode.
It's the Backforty podcast.
The Backforty podcast.
Backforty.
Welcome. I'm gonna look at the camera for this part. Welcome everybody who's watching. All 5 of you guys.
That's funny.
Man. Yeah. So this podcast is literally just me, Spencer, and Anthony, my buddy right there. We decided let's make a podcast and talk about things that are interesting to us. So just a quick intro to me. My name's Spencer, like I just said, and I'm turning 24 in a week, Anthony, if you can believe it. I know.
I'm right there with you.
I know.
For me, it's 8 days. 8 days.
Yeah, your birthday's the 29th, right?
At least, yes.
That's right. Okay. Yeah.
I saw you double checking the date over there.
Yeah. I knew that by heart, bro. Because we had. I didn't want to break your heart. Okay. You know.
No, you're good.
All right. I'm gonna continue on. My background is literally I just graduated college like 2 years ago. With Anthony, we were college roommates for 4 years. And I got a degree, very useful degree, in philosophy and theology, if you can imagine that. But so you can probably tell a little bit about me from that. Other than that, I'm kind of just I got married this summer.
It's a big
life stuff.
Thing.
And then I got went on a honeymoon, and then now we're living life in my parents' casita. So
yeah.
That's just the quick version of intro to me. So, Anthony, if you want to jump in, give the people what they want.
Yeah, give the 5 people. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah, so I'm Anthony. Like Spencer said, we went to undergrad together, and we were roommates for 4 years. And I think we're going to get into that a little bit today, so that'll be fun. But I am in my second years. I decided I couldn't get enough of school, so I had to go and trying to get a master's degree right now in music performance. I play the clarinet, so it's pretty much all you need to know for right now.
Yeah, exactly. So. Keep it private. I should have mentioned I'm also in a master's program too, right now.
Yes,
so
you are.
We're both masochistic and love to inflict self-pain by doing more education.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, first topic on our mind today, we thought we would tell our stories of how we met, basically, how we first fell in love.
Yeah.
And
sorry, Jordan.
Yes. Sorry, honey. No, so like I said, Anthony and I were college roommates. First 2 years of college, we shared a dorm. And then the last 2, we went and got a house with 4 other guys and rented that out for the last 2 years of college. So, and we shared a bathroom then. So we were together for a long time and have only recently gone to our separate parts of the country. So
very true.
Anthony, do you want to start us off on why you ended up at Whitworth University, where we went?
Yes.
And your first impression of this roommate that you got.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess for anyone that doesn't know, Whitworth University is in Spokane, Washington, which is like the eastern part of the state of Washington, like on the other side of Seattle. Or people don't know. I go to school on the East Coast right now, and whenever I say, "Oh, I went to school in Spokane," what the hell are you? What the fuck are you talking? So, like, if you bring up Seattle or like some bigger place, it's easier to, wrap your head around, I guess. But yeah, so it's a smaller private liberal arts. It's a Presbyterian, I think, is the religious affiliation technically, right?
Technically,
kind of.
Yeah.
Or does it have one technically? Anyways, small private. Probably about like 2,000 students, right?
Yeah, around there.
Maybe a little less. Or a little more. Yeah.
I think so, right?
So, nonetheless, a lot different than like your typical state school where you're gonna have tens of thousands of students. So originally, like my senior year of high school, I had Whitworth was not really on the map at all until probably like towards the end of the admissions process. So I'll kind of get to that. But so going into senior year, like I said in the beginning, I played the clarinet, and I knew I wanted to pursue music. And so I was looking at some bigger music schools. Some of those were state schools, University of Texas, University of Michigan, and then there was like some smaller, more like music conservatory type schools that I was looking at. But I was kind of set on doing that. And then, lo and behold, I met my current girlfriend actually the senior year of high school, sort of late in the fall, after I had done actually most of the applications for all of these schools. And so, it was kind of a weird time to get into a relationship because of like all of this unknown that was going to happen. But as
following the new girlfriend to a school,
exactly, yeah, we're getting there. But I didn't want to. You kind of stole the.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I just ruined it for you.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, so Emily is my girlfriend, and we met in probably like we started, talking in like I think it was October, November of our senior year. So like fairly late after I had like applied to, some schools. And meanwhile, like she might correct me on this, but from my understanding, she was very set on going to Whitworth. Like she had visited there in the fall and like fell in love with the school. I would say she's a religious person, and so that it just really fit for her to go there. And so as our relationship sort of kind of developed and the feelings started to get deeper and stuff, I was just curious about Whitworth. So like I literally was like on my computer, typed in Whitworth University, and I didn't even tell her. Like I wasn't, there was no expectation there or anything. I was just curious about like, well, what do they have for music? Or like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So, I like kind of looked it up, and I was like, oh, they have like, pretty easy application. I don't know if you remember how easy it was. It's literally like probably a page. It's almost like stupid how easy it is to apply there. Maybe they've changed that. I'm not saying like anyone can get in, but
I don't know. But I was super stressed out when I was first applying to it. But that's because I don't know. I did it. Well, yeah, go ahead. You can continue on.
Well, so here's the thing. It's like I kind of skipped over this part. Is so like Whitworth has like a late deadline application that I think you can get done up until like March or April. And so I kind of skipped over a few months, but like, so we're in like February now, and I'm starting to like waiting to hear back from like some colleges that I've applied to hear about whether or not I got in. But I was like, yeah, I'm just going to throw this application out. And the application was free. That was the other thing that was like, hey, I mean, I just spent probably like, well, I didn't, if I'm being honest, but the applications for the other schools that I had applied to were probably like, added up to like $500-600. And so the fact that Whitworth was free, it was super easy. I was like, whatever. And then for like music schools or for the music program, you have to submit a little audition video because I had missed the live auditions where you actually go to the school and play. So I was like, I'll just send in my tape and just kind of like, whatever, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So fast forward a couple months. Turns out I didn't get into the couple of schools that I kind of wanted to for various reasons. We don't need to get into that. But then I got an acceptance from Whitworth, like very fast. And then I started getting emails, a couple of emails from some people from the music department who were really interested in, having me either come visit or, talk to on the phone. So I felt kind of like welcomed. And then I got like scholarship money, which I got, some pretty decent, decent financial aid. And I ended up getting a pretty nice music scholarship to go along with some academic ones. And being brown ones. No, I'm just kidding. But like the sorry, we're just going there.
We're starting off strong.
Yeah,
bro.
the diversity scholarship. So,
Did you mention you were a state champion though in music?
Whoa.
That's what. Well, that's
all right.
So you have talent, and you had effort, and that's part of why you got the scholarship for music, right?
I think my resume, just as humble as I can, like was pretty decent for a more smaller, music program. I think that they'd be really happy if I came there, and I did. So I ended up deciding to go to Whitworth, and obviously Emily had a good part in helping me kind of make that decision because it just sort of made sense. Yeah. But I can honestly say that if it weren't really for her, I would have not known about the school at all, and probably would have never gone there. Yeah. So that's part one of the story. I feel like that took a long time, but
it's okay.
Do you want to talk about real quick, because just to split up?
Let's do that.
How about we talk about not how you met me, but how you heard about Whitworth, why you know about Whitworth, why you decided to go there?
Yeah, definitely. Short answer is my parents both went there. That's the short answer. And then they graduated, got married. They built a life together, and then they moved out to Seattle for a little bit, and then we moved down to Las Vegas for a little bit. So I went to middle school and high school in Vegas. So it's a little weird for a Vegas person to go all the way up north to Spokane, Washington for school, but it did fit just simply based on my parents both going there. That's not the only reason. That's not the only reason, though. Of course, I had I have a religious background, and so that kind of narrowed the scope a little bit for what I thought I would like to do in the future. I really loved music back, like kind of like you, but in a different way. I did lots of. Maybe I'll show a video one day, but church. Like worship music. Like I was like all into that, man. And I was like, I'm gonna go be a professional musician and like write songs and sing with everybody. Yeah. And it was like a whole thing. And I thought maybe that would be what I want to do in the future. That was my only thought about the future, Mm-hmm. And I applied to like 2 schools. Actually, I shouldn't say even that. I applied to Whitworth, and then
I didn't even know you just applied to Whitworth.
Yeah, and then I applied to one other school, or thought about it, which was GCU, Grand Canyon University down in Arizona.
Yeah.
But I had an ex-girlfriend from Arizona, so I didn't want to be anywhere near her, and so I was like, I heard about Whitworth, and I got like alumni scholarship for it. Ooh, it wasn't huge, but both my parents went there, so it like doubled. So I got a little more for each parent. That was nice. And so I was like, that's helpful for money. I got a good scholarship from them, and I applied and got in. It was pretty like cut and dry. There's no drama, and I was like, maybe I'll just go there. So I decided on it. I was undeclared going in. I had no idea really what to do, but I talked to a professor. He was the advisor for classes, Ben Brody. You know him, Dr. Ben. Yeah, Dr. Ben Brody. And he actually did like, he asked me what I was into, and I was like, well, like worship and like just music in general. But I'm not ready to declare a major yet. And so he advised me and signed me up for like music theory 1, right? Yeah. And I just kind of was like, okay, great. So I jumped into that and went off to Whitworth. And I was not like you. I did the early application.
The opposite.
Not on purpose. Not on purpose. Like I just kind of like was like, I'm just gonna get it done because I just want to go to college. And so I got it done early. And I'm the reason we're roommates, technically, because I think we can jump into the roommates discussion now.
Okay.
Because I applied early, I got to choose a dorm, like priority wise, like I got my first shot, right? Because I was early admission.
Yeah.
And so I had heard from my dad that there was a good dorm on campus called McMillan Hall, Mac, right? And
good is subjective. Good is subjective. No, I'm just kidding.
good. It is subjective, I guess. But
no, it was a good dorm.
Okay, well, he went there in the 80s. Sorry, Dad. The 90s. And he said it was great. And it was the closest thing to a fraternity on campus. It was an all-men dorm. Or I should say all boys. That dorm, probably all boys. And so I applied there and got into that. And so you and I matched up, I think, both music-wise and, like, we took a survey, right? I think we took a survey.
Yeah, there was, like, a roommate survey.
Yeah, and we got matched up. It was like a Tinder date. We got matched up together.
How much do you remember of that? Because I don't. I knew there was, like, are you loud? Yeah, it's just, like, very generic questions, like,
yeah, what preferences? What time do you go to bed?
What time do you go to bed? What are you interested in? Like, and it's pretty basic stuff. I can't remember anything too crazy on there, but
yeah, no, it wasn't.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was just basic things. I can't remember really like how detailed it was, but we matched up, and I'd say, well, do you want to share your first meeting of me?
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into maybe like my first.
I think we Snapchatted for a little bit.
We did. Okay. So that was the thing. So real quick, rewinding it back. So like I was the late application, so I got like the last pick of the dorms, but like they still like gave me the full list, and it's hilarious because I think you know this. I think I literally saw like McMillan all dudes, and I was like, okay, this shit's going last. So like, this is like the one I least live in. So like there's this hall called Oliver, which I think is a little harder for freshmen to get into. It's more of an upperclassman, but it's basically like the newest dorm on campus there.
We called it the ski lodge.
It looks like a ski lodge, exactly. Yeah. And so like I was like, oh, that looks nice. So I'll put that first, and then I think I picked Warren Hall next, which is the one closest to the music building. So, like, obviously. And then I can't even remember the order of the rest of them. But I knew McMillan was either, like, last or, like, second to last on there, which is hilarious.
So you weren't like me. You were like, yeah, bunch of guys. Let's, like, let's hang out together.
The last thing I want to. But I kind of judged it maybe a little too soon, for sure. But, so we got the email with our roommate placement, and I think they, like, gave your name, obviously, your number, and, like, where you're from or something, so that you could reach out. And so I can't actually remember who reached out first, but obviously we started texting during the summer, and I remember that because I was like, what did I think it was a dishwasher. And I just remember one day, like, texting you after work or something.
Were you dishwashing then?
Well,
you just washed twice. You just washed twice.
After freshman year too, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that was the highlight of your day.
Yeah, no, honestly. But do you remember who reached out first? I can't.
I want to say you did. But I was thinking, I had been thinking about it. Like, I need to reach out, and we talk. I remember the first conversation we had.
I don't over text,
over Snapchat. Like we texted, and then I think we got each other's Snapchat or something.
Somehow, okay.
Somehow,
cool. Dang, I had W Riz back then. No,
it was that. Whatever.
Anyways, sorry,
no.
Being cringy.
No.
I'm trying to keep up with the modern terminology.
Dude, I could not agree more. I'll get into that later. But No, we Snapchat, and so you found out I play guitar, and
Okay,
you play
right.
clarinet, and so
Yeah.
you were looking to like collaborate, like in the future, like musically. Do you remember this? Do you remember this? You were like,
Okay,
this
is starting to come back.
yeah, you were like, hey, like, oh, you play guitar? That's awesome. What kind of music with guitar? And I was like, oh, like worship songs, and like I play some, like very low key, relaxing kind of music, classical guitar, right? Like that was kind of more my vibe. And you sent me a video. I remember it clear as day.
Yeah,
You sent me a video.
It was jazz.
Yes, it was jazz. You're like, dude, we could play a jazz combo. And I was like, I don't think I've told you this. I was like, buddy, I don't want to play jazz.
You did not tell me that.
No, I did.
See, it's funny because over like the texting conversation when you were like talking about like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about majoring in music and I play guitar. In like a classical musician's mindset, even though you had told me like I like to do worship and stuff, I was thinking like that you were like reading music and like you were like into like you wanted to play like some Vivaldi or something. Yeah. Like, and that's why I was like, oh, this guy probably like would be down to play like some jazz too, because like you can probably like figure it out really quick. But I did not realize like you were putting like no offense, like because I'm not trying to like say that worship musicians are inferior or whatever, but like
no, I hear you. I hear you loud
right?
And clear, bro.
Like you kind of learn things by ear a lot, and it's like, what do you have like the like lyrics with the bard?
Yeah, so
what is that called?
It's like tab, right?
Tabs, yeah.
And it was like more folk music. Like that was my vibe, and and it was like I get the chords and I kind of improvise off of it, and that's it. And
right.
So it wasn't music. It was like the only sheet music I had read was piano. I had played piano in the past, and that was the only sheet. I had never read sheet for guitar. So
yeah. And let me be clear, like I for the few people that are probably watching, I'm not like trying to get on like because I know there's a lot, especially in the church and whatever. There's a lot of musicians who aren't necessarily like trained traditionally. I'm not trying to say that like it makes it better because you can read notes, but hey, you did learn how to read notes like later on that year. So
I did. We took music theory together. Sorry, go ahead.
We did. But yeah, that's funny because I was trying to get like I think a gauge of like, oh, this guy's like really into guitar or like whatever. So I think
you're being really nice. You were trying to like connect.
There you go.
Straight up. And what I meant.
You can say I was being a little bit of a nerd too.
No, I came on a little hard earlier. I really feel like I was legitimately like, oh my gosh, like I don't know how to play jazz at all. I had never listened to jazz. I didn't like that. Wasn't like wasn't in my vocabulary. The only thing I had heard about jazz was like people go to coffee shops and dark coffee shops and like sit there and listen to it and snap at the end of it. That's all I've heard. And
I got you.
So that was my initial reaction. But so that was our first Snapchat texting kind of like online connection. Yeah. And then closer to when we actually went to school, which I think we literally started like the 1st of September that year.
Right? Yeah, it was early.
It was like, well, not early now because everyone starts in like August, but
in August, yeah, I start in August.
Yeah, but then it was like that felt pretty early.
Yeah.
So we got to that point, both really nervous. I think I was. I don't know if you were. To move into college.
Let's get into that.
Yeah.
So like how I think I literally moved in. Well, no, we had a set move-in date, but you have family in Spokane. So were you there a little bit earlier, like before the move-in time slot?
Well, all my family had that would be able to house us had already moved out. They were already gone. They were in different states. And so I had one family member left. Like one family, one like nuclear family, and your
aunt. right?
My aunt, but she was living in a trailer at that point.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So we stayed at the Davenport or whatever, that hotel downtown.
Gotcha.
And we flew in. We did fly in a little early because like I said, my dad grew up there for a lot of years between there and California. I was born there. Forgot to mention that part. Jeez. So that's significant. But
you were born in Spokane?
I was. Did you know that?
I did. No, I thought you were born in like Auburn for some reason.
Yeah. We moved there when I was like 2.
Okay, but you were born in Spokane.
I was born
in Sacred Heart.
At Sacred Heart, dude.
I didn't know that.
It came full circle.
Yeah.
I came full circle back to my ancestral home of Spokane.
And Sacred Heart is like the biggest hospital in Spokane, right? It's kind of on like a hill.
Yeah.
Just for people. Yeah.
Ritzy. You know.
Yeah.
A ritzy baby. That's what I was. Whatever. Yeah. So
anyway, sorry.
No, it's all good. What was I talking about? I was talking about getting into
staying at the Davenport, like
staying at the right. We were there a little early because my family had we used to have family there. We went there all the time, and so we went and did all the Spokane things. And that night, before we moved in, I was dating someone for about 9 months. The night before we moved in, my then girlfriend FaceTimed me at 10:30 p.m. and she goes, Spencer, you just don't make me happy anymore. I'm gonna move on. And she had been living in Arizona
tough
for
words to hear.
Yeah, tough words to hear.
Right before you in.
Literally less than 12 hours before I changed my whole life. And my parents are still in Vegas. My ex-girlfriend had moved to Arizona 3 months earlier, and we had made a commitment to try to be we're trying to make it work. Long distance. Yeah. She wasn't the best, but let's just move on from that.
We'll leave it there.
We'll leave it there. It wasn't a good relationship, but I'm the kind of person where I'm well, I'm going to try, right? So we were going to try. We're going to try.
Yeah.
And day before, cuts it off. I hear another dude talking in the background.
I forgot about
that. That was the entryway into. I'm unloading all my trauma on this podcast already. Good Lord.
Okay. It's okay. Good. This is good.
This is good. We're getting into it. The next day, get up early. I'm nervous as hell. I'm this is crazy that I'm changing my whole life. And we head over to Whitworth. And that day, I think we were both moving in we parked at the same time.
Well, so yeah, I'll jump in here.
Jump in.
So
yeah.
From my perspective, so I had gotten there a day before our move-in day, which I can't. It was early in September. Whatever. So we stayed at some hotel in downtown Spokane, and I just remember being really stressed out the whole drive. So I live in kind of south of Portland, Oregon, so I'm not that far away from Spokane. It's about 5 to 6 hours, depending on the traffic and things like that, but you can get there in a day, pretty easy. So it's not too far from where I live, but I just remember the whole drive just being pretty nervous about wow, I'm going to school and I absolutely know nothing about it. Cause you had visited the school, right? Mm-hmm. Before.
Yeah.
And you'd seen it. And most people do, when I feel when you go, before COVID at least, you go visit the school that you might go to, and maybe you sit in on some classes. Maybe that's not as common for state schools, but you at least get a campus tour. I always see those going around. Whitworth obviously does those and has them throughout the year. They're called Y Whitworth or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, I didn't do any of that, so I just was looking at fucking Google images of Whitworth, and it looked like this, pretty nice. I don't know how to. It looked. I think the best way to describe it is I thought it felt like golf coursey.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trees, everything, the lawn and
It's
stuff.
curated.
Very well,
it's very curated,
taken care of, and I was like, okay, this can't be that bad, right? So we get into Spokane, and this is also my first time being in Spokane. I think
that's crazy, bro.
That's a lie. That's a lie, actually. I think I had gone through Spokane a couple times, but I actually stopped in the city. It was my first time. So Spokane, a little smaller than Portland. I didn't wow me, but it wasn't awful either. I don't know. I'm trying to remember.
It's not the most impressive city.
No,
it's not.
But
sorry,
it's not bad. It's not bad either.
No,
it's
a nice
growing
town.
too.
It is.
Shout out to Spokane.
Yeah, sure.
But, so the next morning after we got there, it was time to check in to our dorm room, and I remember having some anxiety about all of it, and just getting ready to be in this brand new environment with a bunch of just new people, a bunch of new freshmen. So we pulled in, and Whitworth is kind of this loop. It's a big oval circle, I would say, and you basically drive through it, and you can see the majority of everything: dorms, the dining hall. In the middle of campus is a little harder to see, but you can basically drive the perimeter of it in about, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. So it's not very big.
No.
But so McMillan Hall, if you go to the entrance of Whitworth, is kind of towards the end of the loop, a little bit before the exit, probably about.
It's a little separated from the
meters.
rest. Separated from the rest.
Yeah, it's a little separated, but there's a big parking lot in the back as you go around the driveway, where the basketball court is, and they call it the field house. And so there's a big parking lot there where everyone parks. And so, I was with it was kind of an odd coupling, but for whatever reason, I was with my mom and my grandpa. So my dad couldn't make it out to move me in. My mom and my grandparents were moving me in. My grandma was there too, I think. But So we pull into the parking lot, and I see Spencer getting out of a Suburban, I think, or was it something else? I can't remember. Some SUV.
They rented an SUV. Yeah, my parents.
Yeah, it was some SUV, and I was I remember turning to my mom, and I was I think that's my roommate, because I had seen pictures of you, because I think we followed each other on Instagram or whatever. I was oh, okay, it's this guy. I was I think that's literally him, right? And here's my perspective. I can be totally wrong because I just blocked it out. But we parked, and then as I was getting out, you guys were literally walking towards us,
100%
or something.
Absolutely.
And then I was Spencer, and you're Anthony. It was from high school. No,
dude, it was a match made in heaven, bro. Straight up.
No, but it was weird. We
was
pulled
weird.
up at the same time.
Yep.
So I remember being a little awkward. I say, it's weird.
Dude, it's so weird. It's gonna naturally be awkward.
Exactly. And your parents were very outgoing, I remember, and so they were, talking to my mom and
were
my grandpa.
Your grandparents were there, right?
Yeah. And so I remember your mom is very outgoing and likes to converse. So I remember she was talking to my mom a bit and stuff, and asking me about you've seen this campus and stuff, right? And I was nope. And she's I think she was okay, well, why don't we go to the hub, which is the student center, so you guys can go get your IDs and stuff. And I think that was the first thing I literally did before I moved anything in, if I'm remembering correctly. It was I walked with your family, and my mom was there too, to go get ID cards or something at the hub.
I think
that's what I remember.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely what we did. That's that was our first meeting. It was. Yeah. Do you remember what we talked about at all?
I honestly don't. It was a lot of stuff after that was chaos in my mind, just because of all of these freshmen moving in, and we had a pretty big freshman class, I believe. Probably like the biggest at school. Well, actually, the next year was bigger. Funny enough, but regardless, it was one of the bigger incoming freshman classes, and so I remember moving in after that, and the whole awkward thing where both parties are like setting up, this little small space. Although we lucked out because
that's right, bro.
I'm sure. Go ahead. Why don't you tell that?
No, I was gonna just say like I feel so grateful because most college dorms are like these tiny boxes, right? Like they're like these little things that you got 2 beds, you got a dresser or like a cabinet or whatever, and then and 2 desks. You get a desk each. I think that's how it went. And it was all the other ones looked very cramped in the other dormitories, right? But Mac, because it was the original building on campus, like it was where they originally held classes and stuff. So it was very unique. The rooms are all different shapes, and like there's a whole variety of them. So we were on the 3rd floor, and we got this like really long and with a window, with a weird slanted roof. It was just really odd, and it came with 3 beds for 2 people. So we had and it had like an extra dresser or something. It was crazy, and 2 in the wall cabinets. And so we were like I was feeling grateful. And like we could have been cramped, but we actually had like all this space up top I was on the bottom bunk. There was a top bunk that was empty, and I threw all my crap up there. And then you had a bed in the corner. And so we had a bunch of space to work with. But I totally remember what you're saying about how awkward it was. And
just when you're setting stuff up and you don't know someone, and like they're building shit, and it's like, I don't know what to say right now.
And it was so funny because my mom, I love my mom, love you, Mom, but she's incredibly extroverted, especially in those situations with new people. Like we're best friends already, kind of thing. And your family was so quiet. It wasn't even. It was
that's because that's how
I know it was
like very like reserved.
It's like, who are you people? Like I don't know you. Like we don't have to be best friends yet. So it was.
No. But my family had a good impression here, so I think
which is good.
Say, but
yeah. I remember just feeling lucky to have we hit it off really well to start off.
Yeah. It wasn't. I've heard a lot of horror stories about, roommates that were not like a good match, or that had to transfer. But
we should have some of our friends on that had bad roommates.
Oh, we definitely
to start.
We
off,
definitely
we'll talk
will.
about that.
Yeah. But I just remember that whole move-in process being. I mean, because if you think about it, not to like change it into more of a kind of, I don't want to say sad, but like,
no, go for it.
I think it was just interesting the way that we got paired up too, because we were both kind of going through some stuff in our personal lives that ended up, we didn't know at the time, but I think we knew fairly quickly into the first few weeks of school about that kind of stuff. And so that was good too, because we were kind of on like the same wavelength of like, just being overwhelmed by everything, trying to, as I'm sure a lot of, freshmen who are moving into school, it's a hard transition for a lot of people. But just the fact that we had some other stuff going on too, I think that made it a little bit easier to connect.
I couldn't agree more. That was like, we were both going through it. Do you remember I like chopped my finger in half? You remember that? Like,
I do remember that on the door.
Yeah, so the door had like a metal. It had like a metal hinge almost. It was like I don't know how to explain it. So you couldn't like slide anything in to like pop it open. I think that's what it's for. It was like a metal latch that like it just kind of went like this, like that, from the door to the.
That was during the move-in day, right?
Yeah, it was during move-in day, and then those doors swing really fast, and so I slammed it shut. Sorry, my hand was in the shot. I slammed the door shut with my left hand, and I like got my finger stuck in that metal latch.
Yeah.
And I slammed it, dude. It tore. It tore like a big chunk of muscle. Like, it like sheared it, and it was like kind of wasn't hanging off, but it was like it was pretty awful. So
it's pretty gory.
Like, I had to go get stitches.
Yeah,
like, that's what we did that day. I went to urgent care, and like they stitched it up. Like, I had this giant big bulbous bandage on it that I had to like replace for the next like month. Like, that was and I remember, Anthony, I'll tell you this part. I don't know if I've told you this, but I was sitting in the urgent care, and they had just stitched it and like bandaged it and all this kind of stuff. And I like broke down, just crying. I was just, it was the worst. It was one of the craziest, most overwhelming days of my life, where I was, because going to college, huge life change. Girlfriend breaks up with you. That's always, that's going to tear you up. And then chop your finger off. Like, like.
All within the span of like 48 hours.
Yeah. Less than
72 hours.
Yeah. Whatever. Something like that. It was something. So and I don't know if we talked that night a lot about our situations, but we definitely got into it. That first week we did.
Yeah. I think I kind of felt bad, not because I think this is not probably as common with state schools unless you're in like a fraternity or sorority, but Whitworth has this thing called tradition, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe state schools do have this, but each dorm kind of has their own little sets of initiation and like traditional things that you do kind of before like classes starts, they're kind of like icebreakers and like games and stuff, and some
you get
of it's
to know
like
the
really
people
stupid.
in the dorm.
Yeah, you get to know the people in the dorm, and you get to like learn more about campus and stuff, learn more about your RAs, which Andy, good old Andy of some crazy way listening to this right now. Like, I thought you were a pretty nice guy, maybe not the best RA, but it's all right. You can't all be perfect. So.
You're just gonna call him out like that, bro?
Andy, but he wasn't the best. He wasn't the worst. He was like a middle of the pack RA.
He was pretty like he wasn't on alert most of the time.
He didn't really have the RA like persona that you think of, like, I'm an RA, like ready to get, Anyway, no, I don't have any ill will towards Andy, but he was our RA for our floor. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. I just totally lost my train of thought.
That's okay. We were tradition.
Oh, tradition, yes.
Yeah.
So I ended up skipping out on some of that stuff just because like mentally I wasn't feeling it. And for our dorm, I'm just gonna be honest, like Mac is a little over the top, I think, with some of the stuff. You got to get out there and yell and like do kind of like some stupid chants, and I shouldn't say stupid, but silly maybe. And it
was good for the people who needed to like do something a little crazy. I don't know, like it was weird.
Testosterone.
It was for okay. Our dorm had a homeschool vibe. Okay, it had like people who
That's true. Yeah.
were like, they weren't naturally going to get along with people sometimes. They were a little less like, I don't know, like they weren't able to converse as easily. And so this thing is kind of for like people like that don't have a natural way to make community. So they have to just kind of get shoved into hey, you're going to do a chant for 3 hours. Like you're going to do like a performance for the whole school or all the freshmen. And then we're also going to go hike down to a sand hill and like climb it. Like that's what we had to do. And I got to be honest with you, Anthony, I had a lot of fun because it distracted me from like
From
all
what
this,
you. No, I get that. Yeah.
all the stuff going on. It distracted me from that, and I just got to like, I have like videos from it. I took videos like way back.
That's
so
funny. We're gonna have to bring those up.
I know, right?
Yeah.
College days, but yeah, I got to like ignore my problems for a bit, which is good.
Yeah, and let me say this: like looking back on it, I was definitely being like a little bit of a Debbie Down too, because the only reason like I wasn't doing it is I feel like mentally I wasn't really feeling it. Yeah, but also like with Emily being there, and because we had been dating less than a year at this point, still kind of in that honeymoon stage of like. I gotta be attached to this person. I'm just being honest. Like I just want to be there with her and like have her as my security blanket through like this challenging time and stuff. And so, even though I think she did most of her tradition for her dorm, she lived in a dorm called BJ, which is hilarious.
It's the best name for a freshman dorm.
You can tell
ever.
Best name for a freshman dorm, but it's basically two dorms attached together called Baldwin and Jenkins. And but everyone calls it BJ. And there may or may not have, anyways, you can put two and two together. Like, there's also another reason why it's called BJ. You know?
And that's significant for our college because it's a Christian college, right?
It's a bunch of like hide up Christian. Okay, I should say it's.
Well, I was gonna say there's rules against it. That's why it's like a big deal on our campus because there's.
Can we talk about the big three?
Yeah. So the big three are they called it cohabitation.
Cohab.
Which means like not even just like sexual conduct, like you can't sleep and you can't be overnight in someone else's opposite gender's dorm, right? Opposite sex dorm. It's cohabitation, and then it was like substances, so alcohol, weed, something like that. Like they found you with that. That's like a strike. And then I kind of forget the last one because I don't think it was as significant.
Honestly, I forgot.
Me too. It was like an egregious thing. It was like, I don't know. I'll have to look it up later.
Anyways, a very like Christian schooly type of vibe where you can't like, you're not supposed to, even though all of those things get broken all the time and like they can't really enforce it. And partly because like a lot of the RAs like just didn't care, but also were partaking in some of the shenanigans.
Our second year RA was a big problem in the Big Three world. Sorry, Martin.
Really, I didn't know. I didn't know.
No, he wasn't a big problem. He would drink. He would drink sometimes. That's all I'm saying. So,
we have some stories about that guy.
Okay, we'll get into that. That's it. We gotta entice the people. Episode. We gotta entice them. Hear about our crazy college years. That's gonna be like a whole series. Yeah.
No, that's good.
Hey, heads up really quick. We're at 48 minutes. We're at 48 minutes. So we can keep going because I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, let's wrap it up a little bit, like this portion. Just some closing thoughts. And then I know we have a few other things we want to talk. Man, 40 minutes goes by fast.
Dude, I know. We're almost at 50.
But this is
crazy.
This is easier than I thought it would be just to talk.
Yeah.
But, let's see. So I kind of skipped out on the tradition stuff because I was like kind of attached to Emily and blah, blah. And looking back on it, I think that I probably would have had a little more fun if I fully, because I participated partially, but I don't think I did everything. And so I think I would have enjoyed that maybe a little bit more if I let loose. But nonetheless, it didn't. In the grand scheme of things, it didn't really matter that much. It was like a few days, and then most people. It's a very summer campy vibe.
100%.
Like the first couple weeks of school, before you really like kind of get into the flow of like everything. But the point is that I think we clicked really well within that first kind of short time period, and we knew we were going to be at least friends. And I mean the other thing too is, and maybe you'll speak to this a little bit, is because you were sort of undeclared, but taking the first semester of like music major tracks, we basically had very similar schedule for that first semester, the first year, really.
100%. Yeah, I took music theory 1, and we were in the same course, and I think we did like the intro to music, like seminar.
Seminar.
I think we were in the same seminar, and so that was a thing. Like
and ear training, I think,
and
too,
ear
right?
training. So we had a lot of time together. There, we made some mutual friends. Like together, we made friends with other people. Ben Hills comes to mind. Sarah comes to mind. And Micah Turpin.
Yes.
So we.
I haven't talked to them in a while. Yeah.
I haven't talked to any of them in a long time, but not a shot. We just haven't talked.
No, we'll get them on.
Right? Wouldn't that be? Oh, we could catch up with people. That would actually be kind of interesting.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
But yes, basically, we had a lot of time together, and we're kind of similar minded with what's interesting to us. We got into some deep conversations like pretty quick, and that was a big. I remember that being like, oh, okay, this is like somebody I can. Like, I'm not crazy for talking about this or that or the other thing. Like, we actually talk about it. So
we talk about sports. That was another thing.
We talk about sports a lot, that kind of thing. So I feel like we could talk about that in the future. Let's be like, come back for some interesting college stories. Maybe we'll have one like once a week or something, or a couple. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be good. Be good.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. So, Anthony, where are you now? What are you up to?
Where am I now? So I'm at, I think I mentioned this in the beginning, vaguely, but I am at Temple University in the city of brotherly love. Let me tell you, there's a lot of love there in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm just kidding. It's a little bit violent, but so I'm studying clarinet there. It's my teacher, Paul Demers, who is he plays clarinet and bass clarinet in the Philadelphia Orchestra, and so I'm kind of under his tutelage, if you want to be very fancy about it or whatever. But so I'm
we want to be fancy.
Whatever. So I have I'm technically a graduate assistant there, and this is I'm going to be going into my last semester, which is crazy to think about because I just started there last year. So master's degree is 2-year program. I'm basically studying to be a professional clarinetist, I guess, and try and win an audition with a military band or an orchestra. And so it's definitely a tough process, but it's been really cool because Philadelphia is a lot different than Portland, and it's a lot different than Spokane. And so I think just gaining that different sort of life experience from a different place has been really cool. But that's what I'm up to right now. Yeah. How about you, Mr. Thornhill?
Yeah. I am back in Vegas, and I got married. My wife and I are both from Vegas, Jordan. So we thought it was probably the best idea to head back because we don't have a lot of money, and we are gonna stay I'm in my parents' casita right now. It's like smaller than our dorm room, seriously. But I love it here. It's free. That's a good price tag, and we're just making our way. So I'm in grad school right now. Well, I'm in what's called seminary. So so there's 2 different seminary types. There's one in the Mormon world where that's just like regular.
Hey, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that because Anthony knows going to seminary in high school because that's like a whole thing. But that's basically like church for the young people, where they go and like get trained. Right? Is that kind of the basic thing? Like
during the week.
During the week, before school, that kind of thing. Like you go and you like it's literally next to schools. I'm going to seminary, and that's more of a training for you call it pastoral stuff. So churches send people there to get trained up in being a pastor. So I went not because someone sent me, but just because I was like, well, I got to do something. And so I was like, that kind of interests me. I'll test it out. So I go to a seminary called Fuller Theological Seminary. And it fits my undergrad degree. Like I got in because of that. All that kind of stuff. So I am in my second, like beginning of second year credits wise. And I'm doing all online for that. So that's where I'm at. And we're making do, man.
And you just got married.
And I just got married. Exactly. So a lot's going on. I got family all over the place. Matter of fact, I'm heading over there after this to my in-laws to hang out. So
okay.
Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff going on. It's Christmas time. Yeah, that's where we're at now. So,
cool.
Anthony,
well, let's get to some fun stuff now.
Absolutely.
Not that anything else wasn't fun.
No, absolutely. Can we pause really quick? I'll just edit this part out. I just gotta pee really bad.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll be right back.
We'll respond to a few things.
Okay, I'll try to edit that part out, or people will just have a very entertaining you looking at your phone situation. Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. So you told me you watched one of the best soccer games of your life. Is that what you want to jump into?
Let me tell you. Yeah, let's talk about that for a little bit. So,
let's do it, bro.
For anybody watching, probably most everyone that's watching this is in the United States of America. And as we know, when we say football here in the United States, we are talking about some pigskin and some Tom Brady, some Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Odell Beckham Jr. We're not talking about soccer, which is the ball, that you kick into the goal. But I'm probably going to piss off a lot of the rest of the entire world.
You stupid idiots! Soccer, football is not soccer. Yeah, okay, yeah.
No,
exactly.
I feel like we as Americans, as U.S. citizens, can't really talk too much shit about this because the U.S., although I guess we made it out of the group round in the World Cup, but we kind of got crushed, if I'm not mistaken. No, maybe we didn't get crushed, but we lost in the round of 16 to Denmark. I believe we played the Dutch, and we got our cheeks clapped a little bit, but that's okay because the Dutch gave Argentina, who won the whole thing, a pretty thick match, and that match between the Dutch, the Netherlands, and Argentina went into PKs, and so did the World Cup final.
Yep.
Now the World Cup final, let me tell you, I just love sports. I will watch basically anything. The other day I was watching pickleball on ESPN because that's literally all there was, and I was so bored.
Hey, I like pickleball, bro. Time. That's fun.
They were streaming pickleball on ESPN the other day.
Insane.
Like that's all that was on. But anyways, off topic. So this World Cup final match between France and Argentina, I woke up. Actually, Emily came over too. We both got up at 6:30. Because it started at 7 a.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Qatar time. Because obviously there's a huge time difference. But I was thoroughly entertained for 2+ hours watching soccer, which a lot of us Americans, maybe more than that, would consider kind of soccer to be a quote-unquote boring sport. partially because I think most people, including myself, don't really know the rules or the intricacies of soccer just because it's not as popular here in the States. But this match was literally insane. And one thing I didn't know, so there's 2 45-minute periods for 90 minutes total. Mm-hmm. But then you add on extra time too, because soccer players are also actors and they like to whine and bitch a lot when they get fouled, which fair enough. So does, LeBron James does that too. Like NFL players do that all the time as well. Yeah. But in soccer, the clock is constantly
it doesn't
moving.
stop. So there's no time stoppage. Yeah.
No time stoppage. But the refs kind of keep track of it, right? And so they add on this extra time at the end of the match. But in the World Cup final match, what they do too is that if it's still tied, which it was basically this back and forth between the two best players on the team. Argentina, Messi, GOAT. And then this rising young star who's been coming up, Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe.
Yep.
Mbappe, just a
legend.
That guy's insane.
Yep.
He literally
he scored all 3 of their goals, didn't he?
Carrying France. Yeah, he had a hat trick. He scored all 3 goals. But basically every time Argentina took the lead 2-0, 2-0, and then France scores 2 goals within 90 seconds. I don't know if you watched the highlights.
I did.
But literally it was 2-0 until the 67th minute. And then Mbappe scores 2 goals in 90 seconds. It's 2-2. Everyone's freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
So then after the 90 minutes concludes, it's tied 2-2. And then they have 2 extra periods, 15-minute periods, to make it a total of 120 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah. So they play those, and I can't remember when the 3rd goal got scored. But anyways, Messi scores this amazing goal.
Yeah.
And it's 3-2 Argentina, and it looks like Argentina's going to take it over. Then France gets a penalty kick because they got fouled within the box. And so then Mbappe takes a penalty, scores. It's 3-3, tied at the end of the extra time. Oh. Then they go to the fucking penalty kicks, and Argentina won that way. But it was just, I don't know. What did you think of it? Just watch, because you didn't watch it live, but you watched the highlights, right?
I watched the highlights. Electric, bro. I have not seen something that intense since Super Bowls, right? It was just everything was on the line. Crazy ending to the game. And I can't exaggerate when I say football in European countries, South America, even African countries, insanely big. This is the only big sport that you're watching as a family. You invite everybody. Maybe that's an over exaggeration, but you invite everybody over. You want your country to win because it's a huge bragging right, and it matters to everyone else in the world. So the competitiveness of this sport on that level, on the World Cup level, just is mind-boggling. So everyone in the stadium is incredibly. Think of it like a Super Bowl for us.
Yeah,
American, it's and it's your team. It's most of the time it's not your team, right?
It only happens every 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. So it's even more crazy.
It's like the Olympics, but just for soccer.
Yeah.
Even though there's soccer in the Olympics, but you get the point. Yeah.
No, it is insanely significant, right? And so that's I got that feeling when everyone's watching it and you have the passion of the players and all that. That's what it was. Just electric, man. It was awesome. So I thought it was really it was. I was like, I should watch soccer for that. And part of my not I haven't tried to not watch soccer. I've been open to it, but part of I think it maybe says a lot about Americans. We need excitement. So instantly, right? We need to just we need to be rewarded for watching something, right? Football, there's a big play happening every 5-10 plays, right? You got something.
Everyone's hitting each other. There's a lot of
action, exactly. And soccer,
there's action in soccer too. But.
Absolutely. I'm just saying the space between each exciting moment, that's what like gets you hyped up because you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, and then you score twice in 90 seconds, and you're like, let's go. You know, it's like a bigger feeling than like any. I don't know. You know, it's like when Russell Wilson got intercepted in the end zone, which was a big. That was a big. You know, he's a Patriots fan. I was a Seahawks fan, so it's like. Yeah, it's like that level of wow, that's crazy. So that's what I appreciated about it.
Yeah. And I mean, the funny thing is, you know, kind of just being an American, I guess, is like after watching that match, though, it's kind of like everything else is ruined now because I feel like it can't get any better than what I just saw. So like everything else is just going to be like, you know, below that experience. But that being said, too, like here in the United States where soccer isn't as big is, you know, the MLS tends to be sort of like from my understanding, like kind of an inferior league to all like the Premier League and the Champion League in Europe, if I'm speaking correctly. And that's where a lot of like the world talent go to play. And those aren't broadcast as frequently in the States.
Yeah. The MLS is where like retired Premier guys go. You know? Yeah. Or like they're coming Messi
up.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. There was talks about Messi going to like the Miami MLS team. I don't know how
they're gonna win next year. You know? Like
if you have him, it's crazy.
Guy's insane.
Yeah. And I know like another like big soccer name, Ibrahimovic, he came to the MLS, didn't he? And played in David Beckham. Didn't he play for like the Galaxy or something?
Yeah, the LA Galaxy.
But one last thing about the World Cup, unless you have anything else to add too. So I actually looked up too the viewers. It's crazy. So last year's Super Bowl in America, 137 million, I think, viewers. So like that's pretty like wow, that's good. The World Cup final, take a guess.
I feel like I'm going to overshoot it. All right, I'm going to go with 500 million people.
3 billion. I'm pretty sure it was 3 billion.
You said 3?
I'm going to look it up right now just to make sure
people?
I'm not like just saying some dumb shit. How many people watched the World Cup final?
If that's the case, that's insane. 3 billion.
Okay,
people.
That's in a.
Man.
Okay, maybe I'm. What the hell? This is saying 26 million. That does not seem right. Okay, according to FIFA. No, okay,
Did you get me hyped up for no reason?
Yeah, maybe. Okay, well, this is the problem with how like we get our news too, because I just saw like an Instagram thing, and like I don't know like how to fact check. Like it's the first time I've Googled it. Because maybe I'm thinking this number is like the U.S. Because there's no way that.
Yeah, no, 26 million that's not.
Yeah, because in the 2018 World Cup final, it's saying between France and Croatia. This was in 20. Yeah, the live audience was 517 million.
How many viewers World Cup final? Yeah. Let's see. Okay. How many people? According to official data from FIFA, an estimated 3.575 billion people watched matches at the 2018 World Cup. But 1.12 billion tuned in for France's final win over Croatia in Moscow.
So that was the old World Cup. That was the past World Cup.
Okay, so let's see.
I guess they don't have it.
Let's see. Let's see. I haven't seen the stats on that one. But that's good context for Americans to know that many people watch the World Cup. It's like March Madness on steroids.
Yeah, soccer is like more of a world popular dominant.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, it might not be 3 billion, but it was a lot.
No, it's significant, bro. Absolutely. That's cool. Man. Are we
Anyway.
start watching soccer now?
I
know you said it's ruined for
not
you.
the MLS.
Yeah.
Not the MLS. I kind of want to tune in to some Premier League stuff, Champions League or whatever.
Bro, I've gotten into
to watch
Formula 1
Fun.
recently.
F1, okay.
F1, yep. And it's so funny because they're coming to Vegas like the first time.
That's what I was gonna say.
Next year.
You got tickets, right? Your dad does?
Bro, tickets, one ticket, cheapest level, crappy seats, like entry $2,000, one ticket.
Really?
Insane. $2,000 for one person to go. So two people.
That's
I would rather go on vacation, bro. Honestly, because you can go on vacation for like $4,000, right?
Yeah.
Like I would rather go do that than, they're coming to Vegas, and I feel bad because I'm like, I love this stuff, but they're just all the rich people from LA are gonna come over and get. They're gonna gobble those up, and they're gonna
most definitely
because it's gonna be kind of a social event. I don't know. So we're gonna watch it at home and just be glad they came to Vegas. It's sad, but it's whatever. So I don't know. But F1 is interesting because it's that same kind of thing. F1's crazy because they have only 2 drivers and I think it's 10 teams. So there's 20 cars out there, and it's crazy because you could have a team that doesn't win like ever, but they stick around in the league for like 8 years because it's just like they matter. What matters is just like steady improvement because your car just determines so much. So it's been weird to watch it, but I don't know. I don't want to get boring, so we can move on. But I just that's another European sport that's been interesting to me. So that's all. Yeah, it's good.
I got you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we can jump into our next conversation topic, or I can show you the video I saw.
Let's do the video.
Okay.
I'm curious about this video.
All right, let's see. I'm just going to cut that whole thing out. It's just going to be terrible.
You're
I'm just kidding. Okay. I will cut out some of that, though.
Yeah, no.
Because you didn't appreciate my humor. That's all it was.
Well, you're good.
Yeah.
Well,
honestly, bro, that's all I got for today, man. Unless you wanted to talk about anything else. That we are at an hour 20. So
I think that's a pretty good first one. And like we said, we're gonna have some guests on here and talk about more college stories, I think. But I think we'll also get into like some philosophical stuff too, right?
Absolutely. We'll talk about kind of stuff that matters to us. So we'll get into that, have some deeper conversations, hopefully, and just get into it. So, thanks for joining us. If you got all this way, that'd be quite a surprise. So, thanks for joining us. Everyone who's watching, give us a like. How about that? We'll do the classic YouTuber thing. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe.
Comment. Give us a comment too.
A comment. Tell us what the best part of the episode was. I don't know.
Hit that ring button.
Hit that ring. That notification bell. Yeah. Do all the stuff that YouTubers do. So, to end it off, I guess we'll. I was Spencer, Anthony. It was good talking to you guys. So, talk to y'all later.
We'll see you later.
Bye.